And it became very clear to me that the bottom line was all about how do we generate revenue. Some of the fun things about DPC is just having autonomy to practice the way that makes sense for me, makes sense for my patients. And it was just so easy to just make that decision. And I didn't have to ask for permission from anyone. I didn't have to do any kind of red tape. But I do believe I am going to give them a healthcare experience like they've never experienced before.
Yes.
It's gonna just blow them out of the water.
Welcome to DPC Life, the podcast where independent doctors share real stories, bold ideas, and the freedom of doing medicine on your own terms. I'm your host, Dr. Ann Gonzalez, and together we'll explore the wins, the struggles, and everything in between. Let's dive in. I want to explain something that I am starting. It's called the Independent Practice Path, or IPP. Becoming the boss. It's very difficult if you've always been an employed physician. So I've been hearing the uncertainty and the fear of how do I become a practice owner in a reasonable and sustainable way? How do I get patients? How do I explain DPC to them? How do I make sure that I'm going to be able to make the income that I need? So that's what the independent practice path is. It's going through all of those things to help you transition from employed physician to independent practice owner so that when you open your doors, you are not actually just opening. It's a continuation of what you've started several months prior. You're going to learn how to explain DPC to patients, to employers, family members, other doctors, colleagues, and you'll start those conversations early from the very beginning. You're also going to start building your systems so you don't start with a Google worksheet and just your phone and that's it. I want you to have systems that you would find in a mature DPC practice. The goal is to open a practice with momentum. So you're not just opening your doors and waiting for people to come to you. I'm starting this as a small initial cohort because this works best when people can talk to each other and hear how other people are doing things, and they work through some of these situations together. The independent practice path is what I set out to do over a year ago. I wanted to help doctors who are ready to get out of the fee-for-service system be able to succeed in DPC. There are certain things that you can do to try to make sure that you will succeed. So if you are seriously thinking about getting out of employed practice and you want to talk to me about this, just email me through the email in the show notes. Tell me about your situation, where you are in the process of planning a DPC, and then we can figure out whether this would be a good fit for you. Just remember, no matter where you are on your DPC journey, your DPC family's got your back. Today, my guest is Donna Mayeda from Ke Ola Noa DPC in Honolulu, Hawaii. And she has graciously decided to come on and be a guest for coaching. But before we get into that, I just want to welcome you to the podcast. And
thank you so much, Anne.
Oh, you're so welcome. And so first, let's talk about your background and how you got into DPC, and then we'll get into some of the things that you wanted to work on for the podcast or during the podcast.
Sure. Yeah, so I'm a brand new DPC baby. My practice it's 5 months now, 5 months old.
Amazing.
And it's been such a wonderful journey. I wish I had made the switch sooner. But I am trained in internal medicine and never in a million years after finishing residency could see myself even doing a private practice on my own. So I always thought it was always going to be some type of employed physician doing primary care. So I loved the company that I worked for. I was there for 6 years in California before I moved out here to Hawaii. And I loved my patients. We got bought out by a kind of big corporation 4 years in, and there were a lot of changes that happened. And it was a good experience for me because I got to see what it was like to work for a huge organization, a huge, big corporate organization in the United States. And it became very clear to me that the bottom line was all about how do we generate revenue. And it really kind of opened my eyes to the kind of the business of healthcare. And I understand for all of their reasons why that is important and their bottom line. But I had this kind of awakening moment where I realized that's not my bottom line. That's not the reason I went into medicine. And I was sitting in all of these trainings as a doctor, primary care doctor, on how to code your visits so that you can maximize reimbursement from insurance payers. And it was taking away from my ability to focus on taking care of patients. And I was just like, this is just not what I signed up for. One of my really good friends who's in the organization, he was the one that kind of cued me in into what DPC was. And he thought I actually hired him to join our company, but he was right out of residency. And he said he was thinking about it strongly, but it was too scary. It was too scary for him to, right out of residency, to start a DPC practice. He was worried at the time about getting called all the time and just being on 24/7. And as I started to talk to more and more doctors who were doing DPC, I'm realizing like there's a way to do it and still have and make it be sustainable and have a life. And in fact, there's probably ways to do it where you would have more work-life balance than you would in a traditional insurance-based private practice or as an employed physician. Mm-hmm. And I'm finding that to be true. Mm-hmm. So I'm just so excited to be where I am right now.
Well, good. Well, I'm glad that you broke away. You're part of the Rebel Alliance, as you
Exactly.
said.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful. So how has it been going?
It has been a really fun journey. I guess this is what I'm learning is called a micropractice. So it's just me and my partner in life, Michael, but he's also now my business partner. So he is not trained in medicine, but his official title for our practice is the operations unicorn. And he has his opinions about that title, but it really captures what he does. So he does all of the other stuff that I just really don't have that much interest in doing. So I can really focus on taking care of patients. And so I'm so fortunate to have him in my corner and really supporting all those things. I've been listening to episodes of your podcast where you guys are talking about something about taxes or like doing taxes. Yeah. And like, where do we start with that?
Yes.
And I was just like, yep, totally resonates with me. I don't care at all. I just want to make sure I'm doing it correctly and not losing a ton of money.
So your unicorn takes care of that.
He does. He does. So that's been fun. And some of the fun things about DPC is just having autonomy to practice the way that makes sense for me, makes sense for my patients. One of my very first patients, she was 101 years old.
Wow.
And so her family reached out to me because she was hospitalized for a fall and was going to get discharged from the nursing the rehab. And they were worried about how they were going to get her into the car, into an appointment, all to the office. And so I was thinking about it, and I asked, what's your address? I put it in Google Maps. They live 3 minutes away from where I live. Oh. So I was like, I'm just going to come to your house. Like, it doesn't make sense for you guys to do the whole thing to get her into the car. So I did my first home visit, and it was just so easy to just make that decision. And I didn't have to ask for permission from anyone. I didn't have to like do any kind of red tape. And it was such a fun visit. I mean, the daughter was cooking in the kitchen while I was taking care. It just felt like kind of what I had always thought of when I started my journey to become a doctor. So, yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. Wonderful. So you're a transplant though to Hawaii. So yes. How has it been getting new patients?
Yeah, so that I think has been the biggest challenge. Not so much like once I can meet the patient and once they come in for a visit, that's been smooth sailing because that's just what I've been doing. I think specifically in the state of Hawaii too, DPC is still a very new concept and people are just very confused about what it is. They've never heard of it. Majority of people have never heard of it. And when I start to describe the idea to people, they're like, "Oh, you're concierge medicine. That's concierge medicine." And it's like, ugh.
I know,
You
right?
know,
Just like kind of like
I just have this like
bristles.
like this visceral reaction. Like, how do I? And I haven't quite figured out how to I don't know, debunk that perception. So when we first, before we even moved here, we were talking to a bunch of local doctors here and we told them what we were trying to do. And a lot of interesting reactions. A few people are like, oh, that's never going to take off here. Like, no, you're never going to be able to convince people to pay a monthly membership to see you. Um, and then a couple of other people like, yeah, I've thought about doing that. I just couldn't do that to my patients. And this feeling of like, I'm being this greedy person who's trying to capitalize on other people. And it made me not, it made me, of course, it made me feel awful. There was a lot of doubt that I could really do this. I think I'm like one of 5 DPC practice in the whole state.
Wow.
One of 3 on the island of Oahu, and I was the only one that was taking new patients. So
Well,
it was, yeah, so
it seems to be working.
Yeah, so it was really scary and so I think my biggest challenge is just talking to people about what DPC is, how it's different from concierge medicine, and how to convince people that I'm not trying to just take advantage of people by asking them to pay a membership fee, and how it's different from like why I'm choosing to walk away from having to deal with insurance and chasing them for reimbursement, and how, and it's so funny because we had a friend who put together, she loved the idea, she wanted to support us, she put together a focus group for us. I mean,
Wow,
it was
that's great.
so generous. She got all these local working moms to all join, and just to help us figure out like what is our messaging, what are we trying to do. So we started it off, it started off so well, so good. We asked them like, what are your biggest pain points with interacting with the healthcare system? And all the typical things that you would expect. I can't find a primary care doctor. I do have one, but I can never get an appointment. I have to wait 6 months to get one. When I do get one, they spend 5 minutes with me. I end up spending the whole day in the waiting room. They never respond to my messages, all those things. And I was like, yes, this is going to be great. Like, I'm going to tell them what I can do now with this DPC model and the service that I can provide. So I shared that with them and they were all like, but I still have to pay you $200 a month, which is what my membership price is. And I was like, yeah. And they're like, I don't see the value. I don't see the value in that. I was like, so to me, it was like this, like where was the disconnect there? Like I couldn't quite, I was like, oh, I thought it was going to be like, I can solve all those problems. I can see you same next day. I can do longer appointments. You can text me. But again, it was like they didn't quite see how it would be helpful. And it's just, I think what I'm struggling with is that people are so used to medicine being a transactional thing. It's like, why would I pay a monthly membership when I only really see the doctor 2 times a year? And it's like, are you seeing the doctor 2 times a year because that's the maximum number of times you're able to get in with your doctor? And is that actually what's benefiting? Like, is that actually what's leading to better health outcomes for you? What would it look like if you had a relationship with your doctor where they knew you and they knew your values and they knew what things would work in your day to day and what things wouldn't? I think that's just so novel and new that it's hard to really explain that in words because they have nothing else to compare it to.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're right. I mean, because it is new, you're going to have a harder time like explaining because you have a lot of educating to do. And one thing that I'm curious about is how did you come up with your pricing? I mean, I know everything is more expensive there just because it's an island, but
Mhm.
what compared to other DPCs, how is your pricing?
Yeah, so it was a huge topic of just I don't know, it was a huge it was just it was a big topic between
Got it.
me and my husband slash business partner. I knew what the pricing was for DPC and on the mainland, right? It was usually somewhere around low hundreds. And I think the highest that I saw was like 150 a month. And he was like, oh, we've got to charge like 300 a month. And I was like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But he was really somebody who was like, the services that you're providing is invaluable. And the argument that we have is that it's like, well, I can see that, but if no one's willing to pay for it, then how valuable is it? So we went back and forth, and ultimately we talked to some local Hawaii doctors who
Mm-hmm.
were doing DPC, and that's how we landed on it. So
Mm-hmm.
we're kind of right in the middle of the other DPC doctors. And I
Mm-hmm.
think, honestly, I think that it's a good spot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we, what we've kind of discovered is that it's not so much the pricing, it's just the concept of it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
we were like, oh, maybe we'll make it $50 cheaper, $50 more. But for someone who's going to bulk at paying a membership fee, I don't think that changing the pricing is going to
Right.
really
Yeah.
persuade them one way or another that, they're
I
going
get
to,
it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I would love to hear your thoughts and how you guys landed on pricing and what are other factors that we should be considering for that.
Well, one thing that I mean, yeah, I live in a smallish well, where we work, it's a smallish city. I mean, it's a city, but it's pretty small. We're at I would say our highest tier is 95
Uh-huh.
and there's another practice in town and they are probably like I don't know how much they're pricing now, but it's at least probably $30 less. I mean, it's significantly less. But we started kind of on the higher end because we knew we wanted to stay higher so that in the future we wouldn't have to change.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So we kind of I don't, honestly, I don't even remember how we came up to with our price.
Yeah.
Ultimately, we looked at kind of the people around us and sort of said, okay, we're not the highest. I mean, like in the region, not necessarily because there's only us and another practice in our city. But what I think, number one, you've got, like I said, a lot of education to do. And there's another physician, Dr. Mintz. He's in DC, like Maryland area. And
Mm-hmm.
he actually calls his practice concierge. He's
Mm-hmm.
DPC. And the
Mm-hmm.
reason why is because people are familiar with the term
Yes.
concierge. And I think what you were saying earlier, when people would be like, oh, you're concierge, and it kind of gets your hackles up, and you're like, no, it's not. Well, there may be a point to leaning into that a little bit because really, when you say concierge, people don't know that a lot of concierge practices, what they do is they charge you a retainer, right, for the whole year, and then you still pay every time. You still bill your entrance. No one, I mean, I didn't know that when we started. I didn't realize that, and so when you say concierge, I mean, you could tell them how DPC works, and they wouldn't really know the difference because what they know is the concept of paying more. Um,
Mm-hmm.
And so it might just be easier to kind of lean into that. I think Dr. Jacqueline Harris, she calls it like concierge for the common person or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it's on her website and it's really quite nice. It just slips my mind at the moment, but it might just be like, why fight it?
Yeah.
Because it may
Yeah.
just help. It may
Yeah.
help
Yeah. Yeah.
instead of,
And we've had people tell us like you really should just embrace it
mm-hmm,
because you're so we have thought about that and we've kind of played around with the wording where it's like yes and what I've landed on is that everyone has such a different perception of what concierge is. Like
exactly.
there's the definition that we all know,
Mm-hmm.
right? But to the layperson, they could just mean like, oh, it's just a doctor who knows me, who will respond to my messages,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, And so I usually start off when people say, oh, so you're a concierge. Now I kind of try to pivot and say something like, it's on the spectrum. Usually it's more affordable than what concierge is.
Mm-hmm.
The other, I think that also reminds me, going back to the how we landed on the pricing, was there's a lot of MD VIP
Okay.
doctors
Yeah. Yeah.
here, and we just wanted to go right underneath what they were
Yes.
doing.
Yeah.
And we actually did talk to MD VIP because we were thinking about it. And
Mm-hmm.
it's, again, it's like, it's nice to have some of that security when you're
Sure.
starting a new practice, but we're just like, oh, we're just gonna totally go completely rebellious here and just go out on it. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard work, it's challenging work, but I feel like it's the right type of work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we've played around with offering discounts we offer discounts for public school teachers, first responders, military. Um, Down the line, I have this grand vision of being able to start our own nonprofit where Ke Ola Noa can then kind of support that, and maybe with some government funding and stuff, we can then offer free health or subsidized health to people who otherwise couldn't afford a DPC membership.
Mm-hmm.
So I really wanted to put down roots here and be a doctor of the community.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that you are the boss, so
Yeah.
you get to do it the way you want to. And I was going to say earlier with your Operations Unicorn, you are quite fortunate to have an Operations Unicorn because actually Dr. Doug Farrago, he did a talk at the summit a couple years ago about why do DPC practices fail, because that was something there's really not, I mean, number one, I think a lot of people when they do close, sometimes they don't want people to know because there's already a sense of failure or shame or something. And so he actually went around and would contact people, and he was just really digging. And one thing in particular that he found for practices that succeed are that they have a spouse working with them. So,
Mm.
yay for
Yeah.
you. But yeah, so that's a good thing for you. So yeah, so I think that leaning into the concierge, at least concept, will it'll be easier. You're not going to spend the energy on trying to explain, well, no, DPC is different, because there's still a lot of similarities. Honestly, I mean, if you think about it, it's they both have smaller patient panels. They both have longer visit times and spend more time with their patients and are very responsive when their patients need them. So the only real difference is the payment, really. I mean,
Yeah.
or
And I
that's the
think it,
big difference.
yeah, I think it helps when I say it's usually more affordable than most concierge practices, and you don't have copays.
Mm-hmm. And again, I think when you say that, people are just like, wait, you still have to pay a copay when you have concierge? When you're at
Right.
a
Yeah.
concierge
Yeah. Yeah.
practice?
Yeah.
They don't know
Yes.
that. They don't know that.
Yeah.
No, not all. There are some that are different and they don't. But like I said, I didn't realize that they did before.
I didn't either. Yeah,
So,
exactly.
mm-hmm. So I would say if you think they don't know what DPC is, for sure, there's probably people who just don't understand concierge either. So when you explain it your way, well, they might end up thinking that all concierge is like that,
No, exactly. Yeah.
which is not
Exactly.
necessarily bad.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I also tell patients, like, we don't have a contract. I know some DPCs also do that where you have to sign up for a minimum of at least a year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I just tell patients it's month to month payment. You don't have to, you're not obligated to stay with me, because the most important thing is to find a care team that you trust and you know is going to support you in accomplishing your health goals. And if it's not me, then that's totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
That hopefully that means that you found somebody else who can support you, and that's the
Right.
most important thing,
Mm-hmm.
because I think that's how we're going to improve health outcomes in our country.
Mm-hmm. Yes, agreed. Yeah. And it's about finding a physician, right, that you can trust and build that relationship with. And hopefully, I mean, obviously, I think that there is people want DPC over there because, like you said, you're the only one taking patients, right?
Mhm.
And you're at least where you are.
Mhm.
So it seems to be working.
Yeah.
Seems to
It
be
was
working.
funny when we first moved out here, my husband was on the phone and he was calling all these people. I was like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm trying to find a PCP for us. And I was like, oh, good luck. I don't think you're going to find one.
Yeah.
And we still have it to this day. Fortunately, we found a pediatrician for our kids, and that I think that's the most important.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just kind of in the wind, though. My
Right.
husband.
I'm just curious, like, number one, did you find someone and like get on a schedule, and how long is the wait time at least?
For
So
the pediatrician,
for you guys,
no,
like
we have
nothing.
yet to find one.
No one's taking
I
no one's taking
no,
new
not that
patients.
we can find.
Even insurance based.
Oh yeah, even insurance, because we don't have any other DPCs. So insurance based, yeah, we couldn't find anybody. And one of the exciting things about this journey too is because I had to learn how to use social media when we started this. We've had through those avenues, I've had a handful of doctors reach out who are
Oh
in
yeah.
primary care. They're employed physicians, and
Uh-huh.
they're like, one actually asked me if I was hiring. I was like, I have like 10 patients. I would hire you if I
I just
could.
started, man. Oh, that's funny.
Um, but I was like, I'm not hiring, but I can help you start your
Mm-hmm.
own DPC.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been supporting other doctors and having those conversations with people who want to do it. And again, it's all the same thing. It's been so fun to see, like, because in the beginning, it's like, I'm scared. I don't know. But one of the doctors that I'm talking to, she knows she wants to do private practice. She's not sure if she wants to do insurance based versus DPC. And I'm like, come on over. It's so much nicer over
Yeah.
here.
Oh, the dark side.
So I'm
Yeah.
hoping I'll be able to convince her.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that and so we're hoping that once their DPC practice is open, then we can kind of do like a bartering system or something,
Mm-hmm.
or we
Mm-hmm.
can support each
Sure.
other.
Yeah.
But that's also like one of the ideas that we've had is to just create like a local Hawaii, like for the state of Hawaii, like get all the DPC doctors together, get all my husband calls them DPC curious doctors.
Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right. And get them into the fold too, so they can and start to build that support network so that you have a direction on where to go. Like, do you need to hire an attorney? Do you have a CPA? How do you do what do you do what website? So that we can start having those local support resources for others so that it's not as daunting when you go out on and also acknowledge that a lot of them don't have operations unicorns. So people are just doing this solo while they're still doing their employed job. So
wow.
you know, I think that it's much needed. I think we're starting a movement. I feel like where it's the revolution. It's that we were talking
bringing
about,
it to
right?
Hawaii. Yeah.
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 So it's all really exciting work.
It is.
And so we use, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this on your podcast, we use Hint for our EMR. And one of the things I love about Hint is they have a Hint community where they kind of provide resources that support for other doctors who are doing DPC. And they offer to sponsor a happy hour for us that we would like coordinate for other doctors on the island that are DPC or interested in DPC. So we're doing that in February.
Oh, how cool is that? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's neat. Yeah. So you definitely will spread the word. That's amazing.
Yeah.
In North Carolina, we have a monthly kind of women's DPC group that we just have a Zoom call once a month, and that's been really nice. It's just
okay.
But especially for people who don't have other DPCs around them, like or don't have or are solo in their practice.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
I have a partner, so I'm very lucky in that way. But it's been a lot of fun, and it's nice because we get to talk about certain topics. Like each month, we kind of have a topic about like supplies or yeah.
It's huge.
Yes, it is, right? Yeah, so this month was more of a kind of a planning for the year or like your word for the year, things like that. So I think that's great to have, especially since there's so few of you, to have a group.
Yeah. We'll keep you posted. I'm excited.
Yes. So what else would you like to talk about?
I don't know. What else did I write on my...
Okay. You talked about feeling awkward when talking to patients about explaining DPC.
Yes. More so feeling salesy, like feeling like I've got to sell myself. It's just not something that I felt like I've ever really needed to do. And so I don't know, like a really good example is my my mother-in-law invited me to play pickleball with her and all of her friends one day, and it was a group of people. And the thing is that when people find out that you're a doctor, they all light up. And especially if they find out you're a primary care doctor, because they're like, I need one,
Right?
you
Yeah.
know? And they were asking all these questions. They were so curious. I was answering all their questions, but I just felt like, oh, if I tell them about my practice, or if I give them my business card, or have them tell them to sign up for a discovery call, with free discovery call with me, that it feels, I don't know, disingenuine. I know it doesn't. And I know that I need to get better about doing it, but I just felt like it would be like I was trying to sell them something. I'm also doing like a free webinar. It was my
Oh,
first
good.
one
Yes.
at the end of the month for cancer screening. And I was like, after the fact, after I came home, I was like, I should have told them about that and tell them to come. And it's free. It's like, it's online. So there's really like not anything that they have to lose there. But it was just one of those things where like I still am trying to navigate how to talk to people when they do seem interested. And I think part of the whole, like, because maybe there's some like PTSD from talking about DPC and letting them know, there's maybe like a shame component of like, they get so excited that I'm a doctor. And then, of course, the next question they ask is, what insurances do you accept? And then to be like, oh, well, we're doing this model, and then kind of making them feel disappointed. I think that I shy away from it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think you're right that because you've had that experience already. And it was such a letdown. But yes, it is. I mean, sure, they're disappointed, but you can't control that, obviously. That is on them. But when you're talking about DPC, like, and when they were asking questions, how would you respond, or how do you respond to people when it's just kind of an off-the-cuff conversation? You meet somebody, what do you do? What's your pitch, your elevator pitch? Or do you have one?
I don't think I have one. I mean, I answer their questions and I kind of let them drive. But I think anything where it's like, I mean, I'm even trying to think, like, what would I say if I did? And it's like, if you're looking for a doctor, let me know. Or I don't know. Or even like reaching for my business card and giving it to people. Like maybe it's like, oh, here's my information. Let me know if you ever need anything, or if I can ever help with something.
Yeah. Yeah. So you don't really have and it's okay to have a pitch, because that way when you get caught off guard, it's like, it's prepared. There's nothing wrong with that, because you actually do want to have that, because you want it to feel comfortable. You want it to feel easy. You don't want it to feel forced. And you don't want to sound confused either about what you're trying to say. So being clear about it is actually good. And it is completely normal to feel like you're selling, because this is something we do not learn. We don't learn how to do this. We've never had to do this. I mean, very few of us have, because most of us have been employed, and we never did the advertising. We never had to promote ourselves. So it is completely new, and it's okay to not be good, because you've not done it before. Everyone starts from zero. So, but, an easy way, and this, if you've listened to the podcast, you've heard me say this before, but this is the easiest way to kind of create your elevator pitch, and you can base it on the pain points of the person. If they've already said, I can't get in. So when you call your doctor, it's when blank, and then what you do. So when you call your doctor and you can't get in for 2 weeks, but you're sick and you need to be seen now, well, at my practice, you can be seen the same day or next day. And it's a really good hook. That's the thing, is it's a very good hook. And then people will be like, wow, that's amazing. I can never get in with my doctor, but it's short and it's intriguing, and it just kind of gets the ball rolling. And you can have longer, but if it's just a quick kind of conversation, or you just want to get things going, you want to get some interaction going, then having it like that, it is totally a hook, really. And then they can ask. And then you go from there. But and the feeling of selling, again, very unusual. We're just uncomfortable with it because we have never had to do it. But it took a while for me and for my partner to kind of get comfortable with that. And we used to exactly how you felt. People would be like, "Oh, you don't take my insurance." And again, yeah, you would feel bad. You'd feel, like you said, a little bit ashamed, like, "Wow, why am I trying to do this when everyone uses their insurance?" And so it's a lot of just thinking, mindset work of, okay, what are you trying to do? Right? You're trying to provide a service that will give people the most amazing primary care that they've ever had.
Yeah.
I mean, that is not a lie, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think because of like my cultural background, it's like humility is such an important trait for a lot of people. But
Mm-hmm.
I do believe like I am going to give them a healthcare experience like they've never experienced before. Like
Yes.
it's gonna just like blow them out of the water. I know that. Just and not just me, but it's just like the DPC model in general, right? Um, I don't know how to. I wish there was like a way for me to be able to convince that to someone in like a 5 minute conversation, which is a lot of times the only times I have with people. I'm also like a more like relationship based person over like repeated interactions, but I may not always get that with some people when I cross their paths. And I loved the episode that you had with Dr. Uno when she was on, and you guys were talking about introverts versus extroverts. Like, definitely an introvert here. And so it is very like draining for me when I'm having these conversations that with people that, and then I'm trying to like do all of these things at once and trying to convince them. But I do think I know, I think I just have to practice it and be okay in the beginning if I don't get the hook quite right and I lose a few patients. Because if I don't try, I'm losing them anyway.
Sure.
So I think that that's definitely something that I can try.
And you don't have to practice it on people. I mean, you can literally practice it in the mirror. And you can record yourself. I mean, I think it's really important to record yourself because it will show you what you do, like if you're fiddle with your hair a lot or because I mean, you never really think about it before, and a lot of people will have little tells, like when you can tell they're nervous when they're talking. So if they say certain things or they start saying things like that, and you may not even hear it yourself when you're saying those, but other people, of course, when they're listening to you, they can tell. So, and the other thing about being an introvert, one reason to practice it is because then it is just second nature and you're not working so hard at it. And it's not it's not draining your energy because you're trying to remember and trying to convince. I mean, sometimes if someone's going to get it, they will get it immediately. They'll understand immediately, and you won't have to convince them. Yeah. And there's some people that, I mean, yes, if you talk to them a little longer, they will understand. They'll get it. But I think if you're saying concierge, I mean, that's kind of half the battle. That people understand, yes, you're paying additional for it outside of insurance. But yeah, so thinking of the selling as service, and you're going to provide this amazing service that they may not get otherwise.
Yeah.
And you want how many patients? 300, 400? And how many people live in Honolulu?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. You're not going to win every single person.
Yes. So. Oh, absolutely not. Yeah, you will not. And it takes a little while not to feel bad when people are like, "Ooh, no, I'm never playing." Because for a while you're just like really butthurt. Like that is not. I felt really bad because that person was just like, "Why would I ever do?" But it starts after a while. It just rolls off your back. You're like, you know what? It's just not for you, and that's okay. I hope you find what you're looking for.
Yeah. One thing that I would love to hear, like, what's your response when people ask if you accept their insurance? Because I've gotten mixed feedback. I've had some DPC dogs that say, don't say we don't accept your insurance. Just say we work with people with all types of insurance. And then I've had other people who are like, that's just too, you're kind of running them around. So you should just be open and say like, we don't accept your insurance. We don't work with insurance at all. So I'm curious. I'd love to hear what you how you approach that.
Yeah, so what we say is very similar to more the second. I guess it's somewhere in between the two. I say we don't bill insurance. We don't bill any insurance, but we can see anybody whether or not you have insurance because we bill a monthly membership. Most of the time, people will be like, "Oh, okay, no insurance." But a lot of times, if they are calling us, hopefully they have heard about us and heard about how the model works and how our office works, and they've looked at the website, but you'll still get a lot of people
Oh,
who,
so many.
yeah, right? I mean, it's just, yeah. And we still, even on our website, we have kind of a form like if you want to join the practice and you're kind of indicating, like raising your hand. And there's a checkbox that says, I understand. Emerald Health does not bill insurance. And still, people will be like, oh, wait, you don't. But
Yeah.
we had one recently that came in and he was surprised that we didn't bill insurance, but he still was like, no, I'm still going to join because he was fed up with the system. So, yeah, I mean, I think you just have to find the way that you find is most comfortable for you. Because if ultimately, yeah, you're going to have to tell them at some point that you don't take insurance and that it's monthly membership. So, another way to describe it is it's like a gym. It's kind of like a gym. If you go to the gym, wonderful, it's great, take advantage of it. And if you don't go to the gym, you're still paying the monthly membership, but it's there for you. And so we're here for you.
Yep. Yep. We've tried the gym analogy,
Mm-hmm.
and I think some people have like a visceral reaction to that too.
Ah, that's
They're
funny.
like, they're like, oh, another thing that I'm going to pay for that I never use. And I
Ah,
actually did. I had
I
a
see what you mean.
patient who, when she was signing up, she's like, how do I know this isn't going to become a gym membership? I was like,
Well,
I'll work
that's up
with
to
you.
you.
You can always cancel again. And she's become one of my biggest like advocates. You know, she
Good,
wants
yeah.
people to sign up, and she's like, oh, I get it now.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, I think it helps to remember that we're not trying to win everybody over, and we're still early on
Mm-hmm.
here, and then building a practice from scratch. I think
Yes.
I think it would be different if I was doing this where I had my original practice and my patients already knew me. So,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, but it is hard. Like sometimes, so Michael, my husband, will answer the phone sometimes, and I can hear him talking, and he's like, "Oh, yep, we don't take your insurance." And hello, like they just like hung up on him, and that can be just, I don't know, but I think it helps to remember not to take those personally.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah,
Yeah, it definitely does. And like I said, it's hard at the beginning and you feel it deep down, but it gets better.
yeah,
It does get better. But yeah, I think your front office can work on their elevator
yeah.
pitch.
If we've gotten better. We've practiced with each other, and now that I remember, like in the early days, we've remembered it. So
Yeah.
now we kind of say we'll use your insurance if you need to pay for things like labs and
Mhm.
diagnostic testing, medications, and things. But then the monthly membership will cover all of the services through our office.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um,
Now,
so
are you doing labs in your office or dispensing medicine? No. So then
no,
you can say, your monthly membership covers everything within this office, and your insurance can pay for everything else outside, which it encompasses specialists, imaging, all of that. So it makes it very clear. But
mhm,
it's new. It's all new, but you have some patience, and this is
mhm,
great. This
yeah,
is a good start. And it'll get there. It'll get there. So I think the webinar is a great idea.
mhm,
And I would say either like a monthly newsletter, or I think
mhm,
monthly is a nice
mhm,
cadence, just because if you were doing it every week or every 2 weeks, it just flies by, right? So a month is nice. And I think we've been really good. I've been trying to be very good about doing a monthly one. And I will admit, like the past 6 months, I have not been as
mhm,
good. And I feel like that has made a difference. It's kind of hard to tell because it was towards the end of the year, and at the end of the year you always lose some people. I mean, generally every year that's what it seems to be. There's a few people because they know that either they're going to get insurance at the beginning of the year, or for
mhm,
whatever reason there's a few
mhm,
that will drop off. But I kind of feel like, yeah, the fact that I haven't been as diligent about that, and so when you were talking about what's the value for me, and then having that touch point, I think makes a difference, because if they haven't heard from you in like 3 or 4 months, and then they're like looking at their credit card bill and they think, oh,
Yeah.
why am they don't even remember I'm here, and then that's when you lose them. So
Mhm.
that's, I think, having something like that is a good thing. But I love the webinar. We did one of those when we started, and we recorded it and put it on the website. And it was not, I mean, you're doing a topic, but we did it on just direct primary care in general, just like, what
Mhm.
is it? And this was
Mhm.
very close to COVID. I mean, so there was a lot of town halls and
Mhm.
stuff. So, but it's really nice because then you can put it on your website, and then you can cut it up in pieces and put that on your socials.
Mhm.
So reuse it, repurpose it, because that way you're not having to repeat everything all the time.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
helps. It
That's
helps.
that's kind of the goal. Yeah. And I think it's something that this is something that my partner and I have talked about extensively. It's like, as long as we are doing things that we enjoy doing,
Mm-hmm.
because we didn't always have that freedom when
Mm-hmm.
we were employed by our companies, it'll be worth it, even if it doesn't convert to any patients. And so that's really been our guiding principle whenever we are deciding what we should do for the practice. And so for this webinar,
Mm-hmm.
health education is something that I feel really strongly about. So I asked myself, like, would I be doing this even if I was already full at max capacity? Yes. It's okay. Let's just do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it has the added benefit that I get more exposure in the
Mm-hmm.
community.
Mm-hmm.
And so something similar to that is we do every month we do what's called a walk with the doc.
Oh, you,
So we
yeah,
get out
yeah.
into the community because we're in Hawaii, like it's beautiful here. And we'll just go for like a 1 mile easy walk and
Mm-hmm.
we put it on our website. We encourage people to come. And my mother-in-law is always kind of cracking up. She's like, any takers today? And I'm like, no, but I still enjoy it. But we've had a couple people join in the most recent one we did, and it was great. They didn't end up signing up as members or even really like and that was one of the things where it's like I didn't push it. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't say like schedule a discovery call at the end, and maybe
Mm-hmm.
I should have. Maybe that's where I can kind of practice some of my discussions. But it was still enjoyable to just
Mm-hmm.
walk with people and talk to them about DPC and why I'm doing what I'm doing and learning
Mm-hmm.
their story too.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it is, you can approach that in many different ways. You can either before or after the walk talk about a topic. And that way, not even talking about the DPC itself, but just
Mhm.
blood pressure. Like, what's a good way
Yep.
to take a blood pressure? How do you get a good blood? How do you check it at home? Just something real small so that they can see, okay, they know their stuff.
Mhm.
And I like the way she explains it. And I like that way. And if it's not
Mhm.
right for them, I mean, they may know somebody who
Mhm.
lost their insurance and needs a doctor or something like that. But it's
Yeah.
always just putting that word out, and you never know. Some people will
Yep.
follow you on social media for a couple of years and then they come in.
Mhm. Yeah. Very true.
Yep. Well, I think you all are doing great. Like I said, having 10 patients, being in just a couple months is wonderful. So, yeah, keep on going, keep on hoofing it, just keep plugging away. It's going to get there. Just got to keep. The only way you're going to fail is if you stop, right?
That's true.
So, just got
Yeah.
to keep going.
Yeah. If that talk, I forget, you mentioned his name, about why DPCs fail,
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Dr.
recorded or
Mayeda.
somewhere or live somewhere, I would love to watch it.
Good question. It was at the DPC Summit a couple years ago, and it was recorded, but I think you have to purchase like the whole summit recordings.
Oh,
And
okay.
honestly, it was 2 years,
Okay.
2 or 3 years ago. I can't remember now, but I'll tell you what I do remember, the main things, the ones that did not, the ones that closed. And so some of these were closing for terrible reasons, like health reasons, deaths in the family, things like that. So of course he said there were a lot of sob stories, like he cried and they cried, and like there are some really sad stories. But I think one of the big reasons is just, it was kind of just like what I said, they kind of stopped. Like they didn't continue to try to promote. I think either they weren't very good at promoting themselves or they didn't want to, and that was part of it. I think some just ran out of money. And I think it's all related, of course. And what was the other thing I was thinking about? Yeah, and some maybe the pricing wasn't quite right. And that's kind of speculative, but still. But yeah, I think most of the time it seemed like the personality wasn't the right fit for the type of practice,
Oh.
or they just weren't really promoting themselves. Like you've learned, you really have to like put yourself out there. And I think that maybe that was one of the reasons why some people just couldn't make it. But like I said, the ones that did succeed seems like they have help, reliable help.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
So yeah, so that's a great combination. Yeah. But yeah, I'll see if we can find out about that. But I remember someone was asking about it on the groups one recently, and I think he did say something like you have to buy the whole thing. But that's kind of what I remember from it.
That's helpful though.
Yeah, I think you guys are doing the right things. And you've got, is this your office that you're in right now?
Yes.
Looks like it, yeah. Keeping the overhead low is a good
Yes.
thing.
Yep. Yep. We got really lucky. And then that's one of the benefits of being in Hawaii. It's so community based that it was like somebody knew somebody who was renting out space. So I'm renting out 2 exam rooms from another primary care doctor. And she gave us a really great deal on the 2 exams. So I use this one room to see patients, and then our other room we use as kind of like an office.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. That's perfect.
But it's perfect. It's all that I need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, really, if you continue as a micropractice, you really don't need more.
No.
Really
No.
don't.
And I think that's the beauty of that, because everyone's surprised when it's just me. When I'm the one that comes out to get them, and then they're like, "Oh, you're the doctor." I'm like, "Yeah, come on, let's go.
Yeah.
I'll take your blood pressure." And they love it. They love it because you don't spend forever waiting for someone you didn't schedule an appointment to come and see to take your blood pressure, ask you some questions that don't have to do anything with anything, but it's on their checklist of things to do.
Yes.
And then you have to wait for the doctor to actually come in and ask all the questions.
Yeah, it is. It's a great way to practice, and I'm so glad you guys are having a good experience and growing. So yeah, keep going. So tell the listeners how to find you on the interwebs.
Yeah, so I think if you just Google primary care doctor in Hawaii, I'll probably be one of the first ones, but we're at keolanoa.com. Also can follow us on Instagram or Facebook, and we try to publish content. But we're also doing free discovery calls just to make sure that this is a good fit, and you can ask any questions about your health or the practice itself. Yeah, love to meet all of you guys.
Well, very good. Thank you so much for coming on, and it's really nice to meet you. And like you said, you're one of the very few out in Hawaii, so that's amazing. Congratulations. Thank you for listening to DPC Life. If today's conversation inspired you, hit follow, leave a review, and share it with a friend who's ready for change. Remember, wherever you are in the journey, your DPC family has your back. Until next time, keep building a practice and a life that truly fits you.